Last week, just a couple of things, just a summary. US equity markets reversed losses. Things were very negative. Trump comes out. Things are now very positive. US techs led the way to record highs. NASDAQ closing up there. Apple surges 13.3% on that $600 billion transaction. We're going to have a deeper dive in that. 100% tariff on imports of semiconductors. But not for Apple, domestic producers. So this is the reason why we're all Apple at the moment. Okay, this week's spotlight is on Apple. As we mentioned, Apple's up about that 13.5%. I guess the trend is, will it happen? Will it continue? The interesting thing here is it all has to do with the tariffs. And I think when you look at it, the announcement that Apple made where they're bringing $600 billion worth of funds back into the US is a changing point in terms of how I think we should be actually treating what's happening in the tariff situation. Mainly because when you look at Apple, you look at where they're currently trading, they've had that increase, but there are a couple of reasons why we think this is changing a whole forecast, I guess, in terms of how we see some of these high-tech companies. And if they're bringing a lot of their production from outside of America into America, this is going to help make America great. The key thing there is whether the Trump administration will actually help in terms of giving those incentives that Apple are looking at. Obviously, the deal was done in the White House, so it seems to be that President Trump is right behind Apple. Okay, so what does it actually mean? What is actually happening? Okay, in order for Apple to bring back that $600 billion, there's got to be some levers there. And it's a lot of money. It's the largest corporate transaction I think that we've seen. But what it means is that this is all America. The government is basically offering a tax holiday for repatriated profits, and they're going to do it at a slightly reduced rate. Now, they've done this before and they're doing it again. This happened in 2018, where Apple brought back $250 billion. This is the way forward, and if more companies start to do this, then the re-emergence of a manufacturing sector in America, I think this provides the groundwork for that to actually occur. Now, it means that tax haven countries will lose, but what it does mean is that there's a surge of money coming back into America to help with the manufacturing. So tax holiday for repatriated profits, which is why they're bringing the money back. There's a full research and development expensing, full tax deduction on that. And to me, that's another thing. So it's a key component. Basically means anything you're going to spend on R&D, you're going to get you're basically going to get a tax break on it. And in a company that's in IT, I think that's a very positive thing. And in my mind, I think that's something that will get some good benefits. I think also the fact that we've got a targeted manufacturing incentive. And in my mind, I think that's important. When we look at that manufacturing incentives, I think whether federal or whether they're state, that level of support, I think, is super important. And I get a sense that that's going to look very favourable towards any stock. And that's why we think we should be looking more at Apple. Also, I think that it's a strategic move that gets Apple away from China and its production, and it sends us back in the US. So as a result of that, I actually think that that's a positive thing. And I actually think that coming back to America, that it makes sure that Trump's put these exemptions in, that can only be pretty positive. So I think from that perspective, it's really, really good. And I think also a lot of manufacturing went offshore, and that's included in Australia, for the reason our labour costs were so high. Now, because a lot of this now can be done by robots, you don't need that labour cost. So the incentive, this is a trade that brings things back to your domestic economy and allows you to produce in your manufacturing. So in my mind, I think there's a re-emergence of manufacturing sectors at the moment. It's something that'll be a big focus for us coming on. Also, concerning interest rates in the States, we've got a 89.4% chance we'll get a rate cut in September when the Fed meet. And President Trump has sort of nominated Stephen Mirren to go on the Fed board. Remember, he's displeased with the current chair, and as a result of that, he wants to change things his way. I've got to give also Trump a little bit of a feather in his cap. He's out there doing a lot. Let's make sure it's all positive, but as we know, very volatile.